Today we're going to study page 74 in Tractate Kiddushin. As we discussed in the previous daf, we talk about the three ne'emanuyot, which is a situation that baby was found, for example, the years of poverty, for example, the third world, and we don't know that the baby is in the trash, we don't know who is the father. So how you take the belief or the trust if someone claim connection to a baby. Or we discuss also a midwife, and we explain that there is a difference between a midwife that is in a room or left the room. The midwife, according to Rabbi Yehuda, we learn if she turned her face or not. We also talk about the midwife that trusts who is born first, especially when you have an issue of kehuna, leviyah. And we talk about an issue of tum'ah and tahara, ritual impurity. But we also, in a general term, discuss the issue of ne'emanut, how you go with the trust with a certain situation. So here we have a case, for example, 4 women deliver a child in one house. And remember, this is before DNA, but it's important to conceptualize the idea. One is the wife of Kohen, one is the wife of Levi, one is the wife of Natin, and one is the wife of Mamzer, illegitimate child. So how the midwives treated those babies, who is first, who is second, etc. So we are 13 lines from the bottom of page 73b, Tanu Rabbanan. Ne'emenet chaya lomar, a midwife is trust to say, Kohen, ze Kohen, veze Levi, that this child is a Kohen, this child is Levi, ze Natin, veze Mamzer. We assume, Rashi said, that is true. The Taz in Even HaEzer, chapter 4, challenged that. He says, biblically speaking, you need to have 2 witnesses. But here, the special one said, Takanat Chachamim, a special rabbinic decree that you take the word, you trust the midwife. B'meh dvarim amurim, when you say that she is believed, shelo kara leHashem ar'ar, only if a challenge was not raised regarding the child. Aval kara leHashem ar'ar, eina ne'emet, otherwise she is not believed. Ar'ar demai, what do you mean by saying challenge? Ileimar archad, if you tell me that is one person challenge that. V'amar Rabbi Yochanan en ar'ar pachot mishnayim. Rabbi Yochanan tells us that the challenge is not effective if made by less than 2 witnesses. So Tosfot in Tractate Gittin, page 9, said that Rabbi Yochanan applies to the Tanaic disputation in Tractate Ketubot, page 23, if you give someone, ascend someone to be a Kohen based on his witness of one person. According to Rabbi Eliezer, it's enough as long as there's no challenge. And therefore, Rabbi Yochanan said that this challenge is not effective only when you have 2 people that challenge that. Anyway, Ela ar'ar trei. You have to say that the Braita referred to challenge raised by 2 witnesses, which means that the 2 witnesses challenged this baby. They claim that he is mamzer, and therefore the Braita said that the midwife cannot be in a sense, a contradicted witness. You have to say that here we talk about one challenge. וכי אמר רבי יוחנן אין ערער פחות משניים, הנמי להיכא דאיתא חזקה דקשרות. We explained many times that the concept of chazaka, meaning they have a legitimacy of already exists for the person who is a status being determined. אבל איך דליקה חזקה דקשרות, when you have a situation that is no chazaka, is no something that happens 3 times, or something that you have a clear assurance of legitimacy established for the person whose status is being challenged. Chadna me'eman, so you have enough, 1 witness is enough, and the midwife cannot challenge that view. So the Chacham Tzvi ask a question. He says, here it's written that the midwife are trust if it's a current situation. And earlier we said that the ne'emanot le'altar. So why when it's come to twin, you go by the immediate? And here, when it's a Kohen and Levi and Atin and Mamzer, not. So Chacham Tzvi explained that when you have two babies, and you're not sure who is the oldest, who is the youngest, who is the Bechor, who is the first one. So that's a situation that they are trust. Because in a sense he holds that she doesn't have so much achrayut, so much responsibility. Because as we said before, she left the room, she turned her face, etc. Versus if you have a question which baby belonged to the family of Kohanim or Leviyim, etc., even according to the state law or those general secular laws, this is something that they go more scrupulously, more serious about it. So therefore, when it's come to the twin, it's a limit time. Versus when it's come to a challenge of Kohen and Levi, the Chacham Tzvi said, that she have a long period of time in a sense of a trust. So here we have a similar challenge, and we try to use juxtaposition to learn from that. So Ne'eman Ba'al Mikach Lomar. So if owner of an item being purchased confirmed by two people, each claiming to have purchased the item, so Ne'eman Ba'al Mikach Lomar Lazeh Macharti V'Lazeh Ein Macharti. He's credible to say, I sold this one and I did not sell to this one. So במה דברים אמורים? One, you say that he is credible, בזמן שמיקחו בידו, when the item being purchased is still in the seller's possession. אבל אין מיקחו בידו. But if the item being purchased is not in his possession, obviously, אינו נאמן, he is not deemed credible anymore, then a single witness is, to remember to whom he sold it. 74. So the Gemara now asks a question, ונכזי זוזי מימן נקט. So let's see from whom he has received the money. Because he remember Rashi said, from whom he received this money. Tosfot disputed. Tosfot said that it's only Tanat Migo. Anyway, לא צריכה דנקת מתרוויו. It took money from both. ואמר חד מדעתי וחד בעל כורחי. He says, one I did it willingly and one against my will. ולא ידיע, אם מדעתו, אם לא מדעתו. It's unknown which one is received money with his consent and who is not. So Rema bring the Trumat Adeshen. He says, if you have a fight between people, that is a challenge about the psulei edut, etc. Can you bring a proof from here that you can trust the witnesses? Because remember what we said about the midwife, that they are trust, even is one single witness. So can you derive from that we have no choice, we go this direction, so is a Trumat Adeshen, have a response over that. Anyway, נאמן דיין לומר, לזה זיקיתי ולזה חייבתי. A judge is believed when he declares, I found in favor of this litigant, and I found against this litigant. במה דברים אמורים שבעל הדינים עומדים לפניו? So he can remember to whom he decide what. אבל אין בעלי דינים עומדים לפניו. So because the Shita Londalmi said that the moment is the judgment, they are no longer at the front of him. אינו נאמן. So it's the same as one witness. So the Gemara said, ונחזי זכותה מה נקית. Let's see who has the certificate of favorable judgment. לא צריכה דקריא זכותיו. You have to say that the certificate of favorable judgment was torn up. So you cannot check what's the way, which one. ונהדר ונידנייהו. So if that's the case, let them have again another judge, which means they let them return and judge them again, and presumably the same verdict will be issued. So they said, Beshuda de Dayanei, He said the judge discretion. So you have a very clear decision. That's the Rashi said. Bring the Ketubot 85. If someone said before he passed, my estate is to the Tuvia. It doesn't say which one. Anyway, the Pnei Yoshua explained it a little more, but there's a story about Baal Atzei Chaim. It was a great rabbi in Europe. And the judges in his city rules in a certain way. And people came to him and says that they want to have a new decisions, So he said, from here you see you cannot go to a new court. The moment you accept it, because what happened is you signed up before that you accept the judgment. That's part of the deal, right? Both parties sign that they accept whatever it is. So after they make decisions, so we say that Dayan Ne'eman, the judge, is trust, as long as they are at the front of him, but you take the trust, and you cannot, in that sense, re-challenge if you don't like the decisions. And Shitan Udalami said it's a concept of Hamotzi Mechavero Alav Raya. If you have the burden of proof in order to go further with that. Amar Rav Nachman Shlosha Ne'emanim al Abchor. Rav Nachman says that three are deemed credible with regard to stating that the child is a firstborn. Ve'elu en Chaya, the midwife, Aviv ve'imo, father and mom. Chaya le'altar, as we explained in the previous dafs, 73b. Imo kol shiv'ah, the mother, the whole 7 days after birth. Aviv le'olam, so it means from the 8 days and onward. Because before that, his father didn't recognize him because it was in his mother. That's what the Torah said, Yakir, Rashi said. The Rav of Strasbourg wrote a book called Kinyan Torah. And he asked a question, when it's come to midwife, you mean to say that you trust midwife that is a Torah observance? Or can be any midwife, or can be a non-Jewish midwife? He tried to challenge and say that non-Jewish midwife can be trusted. But anyway, Kedetanya, they said in Deuteronomy chapter 21, Torah used the word Yakir, which means the father needs to recognize the right of the firstborn to have double portion and not to give any other child more. Yakirenu le'acherim. מכאן אמר רבי יהודה, נאמן אדם לומר זה בני בכור. וכשם שנאמן לומר זה בני בכור, כך נאמן לומר זה בן גרושה וזה בן חלוצה. והחכמים אומרים, זה תוספות here, anyway, וחכמים אומרים אינו נאמן. מוישה פיינשטיין, זכר צדיק לברכה, was asked, fellow is בעל תשובה. So originally speaking, that family was the Kohanim. But for sure they participate with a very non-Orthodox community, etc. And he claimed that his mother told him once that they have promiscuous relation, they have affairs, they have relations before she got married. So the question is, can he, as a descendant of Kohanim, can he marry with a divorcee or chalutza or not? Lichora, Moshe Feinstein tried to say that you can lismoch le'atir, since his mother told him that, this Baal Tshuva. But anyway, it's a response from him, based on this Gemara. Abba Shaul היה קורא לשטוקי בדוקי. My bduki. What do you mean by using the word bduki? שבודקים את אמו ואומרת לך שנבלתי, you mean to say that you question his mother, and if she says that she cohabited with a person who is a unflawed family, which means that she's fit to be believed, then the question raised, Keman, to whom Abba Shaul ruling? Ke Rabban Gamliel, Tanina Chadazimna. We already taught the halachot in the Mishnah. Ditnan, we learned Mishnah in Ketubot 13. Hayta me'uberet, if she have this type of promiscuous relation, and is unknown who is the person she cohabited with, ואמרו לה מה טיבו של עובר זה. They ask her, what exactly the nature of this fetus? Is kasher, is pasul, who is the husband? אמרה להם, מאיש פלוני וכהנו. So I explained it in my book, also in Tractate Kiddushin. Rashi here have an issue with that. But anyway, if you have a time, you can read it. רבן גמליאל ורבי אליעזר אומרים, ורבי יהושע אומר, נאמנת, ורבי יהושע אומר לו, מפי אנו חיים. ואמר רבי יהודה אמר שמואל לך כרבן גמליאל. So basically, Rambam have a discussion why the mother em נאמנת להתיר, but the mother is not נאמנת when it's come to לפסול. So again, he explained that what the Torah said, mutar, that allow, it's not a question. The question is when it's not. Anyway, חדה להכשיר בה וחדה להכשיר בביתה. הניחא למאן דאמר, this will be good and well to one who said, לדברי המכשיר בה פוסל בביתה. אלא למאן דאמר, לדברי המכשיר בביתה, בה מכשיר בביתה, אבא שאול מעתה להשמועינן. So what exactly Abba Shaul meant to tell us? So they said, the Abba Shaul עדיף מדרבן גמליאל. The statement of Abba Shaul is preferable and is more far-fetching than Rabban Gamliel. דאי מעט המה ואמינה, הטעם דרוב כשרים אצלה. If you said from there, the case of unmarried women, I will say that there is a case of most are fit with regard to her, as it's permitted for most people to engage in intercourse with a single woman. אבל איכה דרוב פסולין אצלה, for example, she betrothed to somebody, so therefore the baby is mamzer, אימה לו, צריכה. So you need this statement that if she was betrothed and claimed that the man betrothed to her was the father, you might say that she is not deemed credible and she is claimed to have engaged in intercourse with a man who will result in the child being unflawed lineage. There's only a small minority of people, which means that her betrothed will not render the child unfit, while the rest of the people in the world were rendering unfit. So therefore, Abba Shaul halacha was necessary in order to include that case. Amarav halacha ke Abba Shaul. So the Shev Shmateta have a big write-out. So how you go by the ne'emanut, the trust, keneged rov. How? Also the Pnei Yoshua. He said, holchim bataruba, you go by the majority. So if you have safek, you can marry with mamzeret. So the question is, what is the rov? So you try to say, ruba deleita kaman, so it's considering the son of his father. But ruba the ika kaman, so you can come and allow safek mamzer. So therefore, you have to say that you have to have trei ruba. The story the Satmar Rebbe used to say about Reb Chaim of Brisk. Reb Chaim of Brisk was such a righteous man. He was righteous, was a genius. So he had in his house all different people. Shtuki, a Sufi, all of that. In those days, the communists in Russia, so they took one of his sons to interrogation. They used to do that all the time, torture people, interrogated people. The officer turned to be years back, also by Reb Chaim Brisk, and he went to that Russian army. So when he realized that person is basically raised the same place that he was for a short period of time, he let him go free. So that's what we said, Shlach lach mechal pnei hamayim. King Solomon said that in Ecclesiastic, put the bread on the water, because one day what goes around comes around, because Reb Chaim Brisk was such a righteous man, come back to save his child. Now the Mishnah, dealing with those who are prohibited to enter the congregation, and they said, Kol ha'asurin lavo bakahal, for all those from whom it is prohibited to enter into the congregation, which means to marry a Jew of unflawed lineage, mutarim lavo ze baze, like mamzeri, mamzer, shtukit, all of them, they can marry each other. Rabbi Yehuda oser, Rabbi Yehuda prohibits from marrying anyone other than the one who who share their specific flow. And the Rashi said, and later the Gemara explained why Rabbi Yehuda prohibited. Rabbi Eliezer Omer, thank you. Rabbi Eliezer Omer, vada'an bevada'an mutar. It's permitted for those who definite flows to marry with those who definite flows. For example, it's permitted for mamzerim and givonim to marry each other. On the other hand, vadai bisfeikan, but those who are in uncertainty, is prohibited for those who are with definite float, such as mamzerim, to marry with those who flowed result with uncertainty, such as a child of unknown parents and the founding. And it's prohibited also usfekan bevada'an, usfekan besfekan asur. So those who are flawed, so result from uncertainty to marry with those who definite flows. And it's prohibited for those who flows result from uncertainty to marry with those who flows from uncertainty. Because you take, for example, the shtuki and the female shtuki. So ve'elu nasfekot, shtuki, the uncertainty, asufi, as we said, asufi alau giyoret. But anyway, vechuti, and a Samaritan. Michael asurim lavo bakal. The Gemara asks, what is the meaning of all those prohibited to marry in the congregation? Ilmam zeron tinu shtuki v'asufei. Hatana l'reisha, we learned this is the first Mishnah. Mamzeron tinu shtuki v'asufei, muturim lavo baze baze. But to another question, Rabbi Yehuda osera haya. What exactly Rabbi Yehuda meant? Ilema vadan bisfeikan, I mean, diktani sefer, Rabbi Eliezer omer vadan vadan mutar, vadan bisfeikan, usfeikan bisfeikan. Michlal, de Rabbi Yehuda lo svir alei. V'chitein Rabbi Yehuda oser ager b'mamzeret. Rabbi Yehuda meant to say ger with mamzeret, that Rabbi Yehuda prohibited them. So that's what we said in the Braita in 72b, that Rabbi Yehuda said ger should not marry mamzeret, Rashi said. So mi de ger mamzeretane, 4 has the Mishnah's opening ruling, to which Rabbi Yehuda takes exception, discuss the marriage of a convert with a mamzeret, and they said, kol ha'asurin lavo bakahal katane. The Mishnah opening ruling discuss all those who are forbidden to enter the congregation. So you cannot speak about the convert because the convert is permitted to marry into the congregation. So you have to say, so Amar Rav Yehuda, page 74b, Hache ke'amar, kol asurim lavo bakahal kehuna. So I explained my book on Rashi. Rashi have an issue with the word kahal. What does that mean, kahal? And Rashi wants to say that it means not general kahal Israel, but kahal kohanim. Giyoret, my new giyoret pruta mibat 3 shanim v'yom echad, that you have a female convert, even one who converted below the age of 3 years and 1 day. V'dlo k'Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, that he allowed a convert to marry a Kohen if it was before 3 years and 1 day, he allowed that. This Gemara in Yevamot, page 60, the idea of the idolaters, their way of life. Anyway, so all these lists, convert, mamzerim, netinim, mutarim lavo ze baze, they're permitted to enter marriage with one another. ונוקמה בבת 3 שנים ויום אחד, ואפילו לרבי שמעון בן יוחאי, אם כן מצידה תברה, which means that's hidden from the Mishnah itself. אלא תמה לבת 3 שנים ויום אחד, הפחותה בבת 3 שנים ויום אחד, מותרת לבוא בקהל כהונה, אסורה לבוא זה בזה. It's even that מותר בכהונה, but according to Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, she is prohibited to marry other psulim. But said, הרי פחותה מבת 3 שנים ויום אחד, רבי שמעון בן יוחאי מותרת לבוא בקהל כהונה, מותרות לבוא זה בזה, which means that they're allowed to marry פסולי קהל, for example, ממזרים, נתינים, וכלל ההוא, and this is a rule a principle, כל האסורים לבוא בקהל כהונה, מותרים לבוא זה בזה, that all who are forbidden to enter into the congregation of כהונה, are permitted to marry with each other, והרי אלמנה וגרושה וחללה זונה, all those cases of a widow, divorcee, חללה, child from illegitimate relation, and זונה, they are אסורים לבוא בקהל כהונה, who are all forbidden to enter the congregation of the כהונה, ואסורים לבוא זה בזה, and yet, these widow, divorcee, etc. are forbidden to enter into marriage with those mamzerim and netinim, etc. The second issue with the interpretation suggested by Rav Yehuda, vetu, and furthermore, hamutar asur. This explanation of the Mishnah implies that one who is permitted to marry into the kuna is forbidden to marry mamzer. Ger shemutar bekohenet. You have a convert that is permitted to marry a kohenet, umutar bemamzeret, and is permitted also to marry imam zeret. So the same way as the convert, female convert, allowed to marry mamzer, that's we explained at the beginning of the Mishnah according to the interpretation of Rav Yehuda. So since kehal gerim, according to him, the congregation of convert is not considering a congregation, so the same reason he allowed to marry imam zeret. El amar Rav Natan bar Oshaya. So therefore, Rav Natan bar Oshaya explains, Hachei Kama. This is what the Tana in the Mishnah is saying. Kol shekohen asur lisayid bito, any person whom the halacha is that the kohen may not marry his daughter, Rav Natan bar Oshaya, and umayniu, and who are they? Ger shenasa gioret, a convert, to marry a female convert. Uchad Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov prohibits the daughter of two converts to marry a kohen. So Rav Natan bar Oshaya resumes his presentation of the statement of Rabbi Yehuda. Mutarin lavo ze beze. People who the status are married, permitted to marry into those families that are prohibited from entering into the congregation, but are permitted to marry one another. Why? Because converts are not in the category of which we call congregation. Uchlalahu, and this is an established principle, the whole shekohen asur lisayid bito mutarim lavo ze beze. That anyone whose daughter, kohen, may not marry, is permitted to marry into the families that are prohibited from entering into the congregation, but are permitted to marry one another. Arei halal shenasa et bat Israel. You have a halal, which is the disqualified kohen, because you have unflowed lineage. The kohen cohabited with something that's prohibited to him, and the child is halal, who married a Jewish woman. Halal shenasa b'Yisrael, the kohen asur lisayid bito. The kohen may not marry his daughter because she's a halala. V'asurim nave lavo ze baze, and they're also prohibited to marry each other into those families that are prohibited from entering into the congregation, but are permitted to marry one another. So the Gemara said, Lo kasha, it's not difficult. Ked Rabbi Dr. Rabbi Yehuda, follow Rabbi Dr. Rabbi Yehuda, who holds that the daughter of halal and a Jewish woman may marry a kohen. Varei halal shenasa halala. But when the case that halal, who married the halala, as a kohen may not marry his daughter since she is a halala, and despite this, even all of that, v'kohen asur lisayid bito, v'asur name lavo beze baze, also prohibited to marry each other. V'tu hamutar asur. But one was permitted to enter the kehuna cannot marry mamzer. והרי גר שנשא בת ישראל וכהן מותר לישא ביתו, according to Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, that this Mishnah followed him, and he said anyway that gerim and mamzerim mutarim lavo ze baze, so they allowed to marry. That's what Rabbi Natan bar Oshaya said, that convert and mamzerim can marry each other. אלא אמר רב נחמן אמר רב ברא בר אבוה, הכה ממזר מאחותו וממזר מאשת איש איכא בניו. He talked about mamzer resulting from intercourse between man and his sister, and mamzer resulting from intercourse between a married woman and a man other than her husband. Tana Kama Savar, the first Tana hold, Afilu Mamzer Machotu Nameave Mamzer. Even Mamzer from his sister, that he had committed such a transgressions and he deserved karet, but not mitat bedin. So he's considering Mamzer. Rabbi Yehuda Savar, Me'eshet Isha Mamzer, because he deserved mitat bedin. Ma'achoto, that he deserved only karet, lo ave mamzer. So the Gemara rejected and said, Maika mashmelan, tenina. We learn in Tractate Kiddushin, page 49, Ezer mamzer, kol shuhu belo yavo. Anyone who follow, he shall not enter. In other words, if the union was a violation of any kind of prohibition, even that of a prohibition that is not subject to the punishment of karet, the child is mamzer, divrei Rabbi Akiva. שמעון התימני אומר, כל שחייבים עליו כרת בידי שמיים, והלכה כדבריו. רבי יהושע אומר, כל שחייבים עליו מיתת בית דין. Again, so you have the answer, the question where mamzer status result from this type of intercourse between sibling, for which one is liable to receive karet rather than the capital punishment, has already been addressed in the Mishnah. So the idea is that Nachman's explanation of this Mishnah must be rejected. Ger Amoni uMoavi Ika Benayu. The disputation between Tanakama and Rabbi Yehuda in the Mishnah is in regards to convert that it's Amoni and Moavi, if they can marry mamzeret. All those people who are prohibited to enter the congregation, so how you treated? What do you use? Umayniu, ger amoni, umuavi. So those gerim that come from Ammon and Moab, that the Torah said clearly that it's prohibited. Why? Mutarim lavo ze bazeh. They are all permitted to enter into marriage with each other. So therefore they allow mamzeret. The female is permitted, the only male is prohibited for eternity. If so, what does the Mishnah mean when it says Rabbi Yehuda forbids? Why should he forbids Ammoni and Moavid converts to marry mamzerim? So they said Hachi Ke'amar. So Rashi here explain, I wish to have more time, I explain it in my book. What does that mean, Rashi here? אף על פי שרבי יהודה אוסר גר בממזרת, גר דראוי לבוא בקהל, אבל גר המוני ומואבי דאין ראויים לבוא בקהל. So you have to differentiate between those converts that fit to enter into a congregation and those who not. That even Rabbi Yehuda prohibited marriage of other convert with mamzerim, that's not applied to them. So therefore the first clause of the Mishnah is not speaking about netinim, because according to Rashi, page 69, is only rabbinic prohibition, because according to Rabbi Yehuda, congregation of convert is considered congregation, and therefore mamzer is prohibited with netinim. Even Rashi earlier said that this is example of those who are psulim. The Rashash was one of the Gdolei Lita, the great Lithuanian rabbis. Ask a question. Since you tell me that Giyoret, a convert, Kshera according to Rabbi Yehuda, Asura b'mamzer, and Giyoret, if it's a Mitzri or Adomi, allowed with mamzer. Why? Because the Torah said, Ad dor shlishi lo yavo la'em mikal Hashem, until the third generation shall not enter. So how you treated what we're going to discuss soon in the book of Ruth, right? Moaviyah and Ammonit. So is she allowed to marry with a ger Moavi or ger Ammoni, that we are prohibited to marry them? But how about Ammonite convert? Because she can come to Kahal Hashem and he is not. So how you treated that? Anyways, a response. But I'd like to conclude with a question that was asked the late Rav Feinstein, Rav Eliashiv, and other. Rabbi Breish is asked a question about someone who is in a federal court, in a general court, divorce, but not divorced by the Bet Din, meaning he married a woman legitimately by the Jewish law, and they have a civil divorce. And she went to another man, and she get pregnant, married and pregnant with another man. There's a son, and the son is now studying yeshiva. So they ask, it's appear that he is mamzer. So there's a big discussion when exactly the baby was born, when they have this type of, if she was pregnant from the first one, or the 7th month, or the 9 months. Rabbi Moshe finds and tried to find a way of solution, but Rabbi Dr. said that he cannot make any heter in this case.